Hello and welcome. My name is Malcolm Saunders from The Light Seller, and I have on the line with us Melissa Henig of Raw Paleo. Melissa, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So, wanted to have a conversation with you, get into this idea of raw paleo that you speak about. So, let's first cover off what is it? Why would someone want to incorporate it? What are some of the benefits? And then, of course, the how to do that. So, let's start with what is raw paleo?
Sure. So, raw paleo is a raw omnivorous way of eating. So, it includes all the food groups. It's raw meat, raw dairy, the green juice, fermented vegetables. It's just all comprehensive, bringing everything in. I'm not, denaturing proteins and fats. So,
Okay.
that's basic. Yeah.
Right on. And maybe just out of curiosity, I'm also omnivore, but I wasn't always that way. I've definitely gone through many journeys with different diets and ideologies and this kind of thing, and landed at being omnivorous. I think that's truly the diet of humans, and from that kind of omnivory, we each pick and choose what works for us, whether it's high protein, high fat, low carbohydrate, whatever that is that works for you. What's been your journey?
Right. Oh, same. I wasn't always an omnivore. I started out on this raw vegan path and I felt really good. I had all this energy. It was the best thing I found. And then about a year later, I found symptoms coming up of muscle mass. I was losing muscle mass. I had a lot of bruising. I couldn't figure out why I was bruising and fatigued. And all of a sudden, I was like, maybe I'm missing some things here. I still love the raw aspect because of the live enzymes and the energy I get from that. And the food is so easily digestible, but something was missing there. And that's when I got over into the raw omnivorous part of it and started bringing in some raw meats and raw dairy.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I totally agree, and it sounds like we've had a similar path. I definitely, forged on much longer than a year. I was vegetarian for close to a decade, and then got into vegan and raw vegan, and carried that out for a number of years. But it's true. I mean, I'm into this idea of intuitive eating, and your body really is wise. It's really intelligent, and it was sending me messages, that there's something wasn't quite right, something quite not wrong, and I kept chalking it up to like, oh, you hear this like it's a cleansing reaction, or if I only do this, if I only remove one more food or add some other superfood, it'll all work out. And eventually, yeah, I just had to face that. You know what? The path I was on, and kind of the intellectual case I'd built up around convincing myself of that diet just wasn't the way, and it wasn't working anymore. And it's no longer either or, it's and. So I love what you're saying, like we can still take the benefits of that kind of raw vegan approach, the best of it, right? The green juices, the sprouts, the fermented foods, etc. Have that, as well as I'm sure you're going to hint at this idea of the paleo, which is a big trend right now, taking the best of it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I totally hear you. It's like incorporating all this health information and what really works and feels best for our own bodies. We're all so different. We're on our own journeys, and I've really loosened up lately, and I don't have any neurosis around things. I'm just finding a balance, and my mission isn't to get everybody to be eating 100% raw meat every day. It's nothing like that. It's like, let's bring this in, have an open mind, and not be afraid of food because it's actually so nutritious and regenerative to the body. So I'm loving it. It feels good, and I'm always remaining open-minded to what's next. What's out there.
Yeah, for sure. I think we both learned that lesson of being open minded. At least I did, right? I was on a very much like a path, like this is the way, this is it. And a lot of that enthusiasm can come at the beginning when you are feeling so good. And I know for me, I kind of lost sight and lost context of the bigger picture. And yeah, absolutely, much more kind of middle path, like open mind about food and nutrition, which I think is ultimately the best way to go. And like I was mentioning too, like really listening to one's body. So what kind of experiences do you have now that you were experiencing as you began to incorporate in this idea of the raw paleo?
Yeah, well, my first, like the easiest bridge, the easiest way in is to start with raw butter. I mean, that is
Yeah.
delicious. So right away, my body had never seen a raw form of dairy like that. I had gone years, was never exposed to it. I only knew what was in the grocery store. When I found raw butter, I literally was eating a pound a week. So for a long time, I was on a pound a week.
Yeah.
My body was sucking up the fat soluble vitamins, A, D, the K2, the E. It was like Thank you. You're finally nourishing me, you know?
Yeah.
So I have definitely tapered off a little bit with the pound of butter per week, but the raw eggs is another really good way to start incorporating them into the smoothies. They have every nutrient in the planet. I just love raw eggs. And then it was like I didn't start eating raw meat right away, like the
Hmm.
first it's the butter, the eggs, and then some raw meat. But I noticed from the meat is where I really get the strength. That
Right.
has, yeah, that's the raw proteins, and it has iron and B12 for the energy and B6 for detox, and it has so many minerals. It has creatine and carnitine, and it's like it's so regenerative. That's I don't have to even work out, and I feel like I'm really strong and solid,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm getting from the raw proteins.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, and one of the things I learned, raw is a great kind of characteristic, and I'm hearing these benefits that you're sharing about that. And another one that came to mind that I learned about, and I'm sure you're really aware and conscious of, is this idea of grass-fed, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's like the number one thing is where you source your food. Everybody asks me, is this safe? Am I going to die if I eat raw meat? I
Yeah.
say, no, it's complete opposite. You're going to feel so good. But yeah, so it's all about sourcing because the nutritional profile of grass-fed and grass-finished meat is so much higher, and it's clean. It's organic, it's clean food. You don't have to worry about parasites being on clean food, and you're getting good bacteria. That's another reason why I eat the raw meat is just like raw vegetables and raw milk, it is a probiotic. There's good bacteria on it.
Hmm.
So that's why it's so easily digestible. That helps too with the good bacteria. I can take a cooked meat meal, which I still eat from time to time, and then I take a raw meat meal, and the difference on how I feel. It's like I don't need all the science. The knowledge is firsthand experience here, just eating them and being really in tune to, oh yeah, I don't have any noises coming up. So like, weird
Yeah.
things happen when I eat a bunch of cooked food.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and it reminds me, I think one of the kind of the key characteristics that I actually do apply to diet now in terms of like food choices, before back in the day it was like black and white, like animals versus plants, and that's actually not the equation. So when you watch all these documentaries or read all these books that kind of make a very compelling and convincing case for a plant-based diet, as wonderful as that is, it's not these two paradigms, plants versus animals. It's actually like uh, small scale versus large scale, right? Like knowing your farmer, the local, the organic, the grass
yeah,
fed, small scale, heirloom, handmade, hand raised, whatever it is, with care and with
right,
love, versus food that's come out of our industrialized food system.
right.
That to me is the big key difference, and it sounds like you're agreeing with that in terms of if you're gonna approach this diet, you got to have that in mind, and that's the great thing about that kind of like guide and that marker. Not only is it good for health, but it's good for the environment, good for planet,
Yeah.
good for our social systems, everything. It all lines up.
It is, and I just have realized that when I was vegan, I was very narrow-minded on this dogmatic path and never exposed to the beautiful farms that are doing it the right way. Like I've been out to Joe Salatin's farm in Virginia, and the grass was up to my knees, and
Right.
he's never had to plant a seed. The animals are rotating and fertilizing. It's such a beautiful system going on
Yeah.
that when I was vegan, I was like, oh no, 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 no. I didn't even have a thought, or I didn't know that that other side existed,
Yeah.
of doing everything sustainable. So,
Cool.
good.
Yeah, part of my path, why I got into vegetarian was from like kind of the yogic side, the meditation, and that whole philosophy. And we have these terms like to be omnipotent, to be omniscient, like as if it's like this high state. And then wait a minute, it was like omnivore, right? It's just as high, in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good. And from time to time, I still think fasting would be okay, and
Oh
green
yeah.
juice and different things. It's just like I use the raw meat a lot as a vitamin supplement. I don't have a cabinet full of supplements because it's all available, bioavailable right here when I eat little, my handfuls of raw meat too. So,
Yeah, well, I'm very intrigued. So you're going to have to share with me exactly the process, how you go about it. I mean, I think you've shared some really great like step steps into it and that people can begin to incorporate right now. The idea of raw grass-fed butter, raw
Yeah.
eggs in the smoothies. I think that raw meat thing is a bit of a jump for most, but sure, we'd love to try the benefits, and that's one of the reasons we're bringing you out to Calgary. You're going to be coming here in early 2017. Let me just check the dates here. January 27th. That's a Friday night. We're going to have you do a little taster, kind of a meet and greet, taste some things that you've made, share a little bit about the ideas and the philosophy. And then on Sunday, January 29th, it's going to be a deep dive in, a workshop for those that want to go deeper, for those that want to get a real taste, a real experience, and some practical tools, recipes, and skills to begin adding this into their lifestyle. So anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'm really excited to come. I do a lot of these workshops locally here in California, and most everyone in the class has never tried raw meat. And they all try it and they love it and they email me, I've been eating it all the time now and it's this is changing my life, right?
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to share it because it helps to have community doing it together. I just can't imagine sometimes people going to a store, buying this package of raw meat and going home and eating it. That I didn't do that my first time.
No.
I had somebody make it for me. It was steak tartare with the raw egg, and it was a delicacy, and that was so much easier bringing me into this way of eating because it is unconventional and we're programmed and we're not, we're used to thinking that this is bad for us. Has bad parasites on it or whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to come and do it with you and kind of hold everyone's hand through the process because it does feel so good to eat this way, or at least as much as you can.
Yeah, and I love that you're absolutely coming with the attitude that this is something to just try, begin to kind of integrate it into your life as much as it feels good and comfortable for you, and it's not an either or, it's an and. It's just another
Yeah.
thing that people can add in to help them upgrade their health and live the best life ever. So super excited to be hosting you here. So check the link below. You can check out the class details, register online, and we're really looking forward to seeing you there with Melissa.
Cool.
All right. Okay. Thanks for sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, and we'll see you in January here in Calgary.
I'll see you soon.